Hello and welcome to the first ever Popular Side podcast, the official Workington podcast. And today you're joined yet again with me in the boardroom with my guest Richard Lewthwaite.
Lewthwaite. Don't worry about it. Boardroom, Borough Park boardroom. Wow, bet this place can tell some tales.
Definitely. So, Richard, you're the Vice Chairman of Workington, obviously. Tell us a bit about your kind of what your role is. What do you do? What's your responsibilities?
It's a little bit of everything, really. I suppose the Vice Chairman's it's just a title. When we first came in to join the board, my remit was a little bit on the community side, and as with everything else you take on, it spirals from there. So we're still on the community side, but I've got involved a lot more with the financials, the business side. Obviously, run a business myself for quite a long time, so managed to sort of assist where possible with everybody. We've all got to pull together. It's a team. It's a there's no. We all have our little specialist areas, but there's no sort of hard lines that you can't cross. We just got to muck in and get the job done.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's very interesting to hear what happened when you came in, and obviously what goes on now. But we'll just kind of tip into probably the most biggest part of an interview that probably people want to ask you is update on the stadium. Is there anything to bring?
The stadium, it's that $1 million question, isn't it? We're talking about it all the time. It's in the press. It's right at the forefront of everything that people are doing. There's a lot of work going on. Lots of different people involved. Lots of different organisations involved. As a club, we're now seriously starting to look at how life looks like beyond Borough Park. So we're kind of keeping the wolf from the door day to day. Yes, we've got to do that. We've also got to plan for what life looks like across the road in temporary facilities for a period of time, and then we've also got to plan for what life in a new stadium looks like and how that affects what we do day to day. With regards to where we are with the stadium, we're all aware that it's been delayed a little bit over the Christmas period. There's a lot of work going on at Derwood Park to bring that up to standard for Football Foundation, for the Football Foundation ground accreditation that it has to pass. That's pretty much there as far as we're aware. Literally today there's been things happening over there that sort of moving us in the right direction. What we don't want to do obviously is say goodbye to Borough Park until we absolutely have to. So that's why we can't give anybody a date, because at this moment in time we're just not in a position to do that. Yeah,
well, that's a great update, and I'm sure a lot of people will be happy with what you've said there, kind of keeping people in the loop. But we'll touch away from that and kind of go into more of a general question of just how do you think the season's gone so far, as from a board standpoint, kind of?
I don't think there's any denying it's been a difficult season so far. We haven't got the results we wanted or we probably expected. This is a very, very difficult league. There's no hiding from that. The standards in this league now are way above what they were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago when we were previously in it. Our aim currently we've got to survive. That's still the point where we are. We found ourselves in a difficult situation, but ultimately the survival is still the aim. There's no way we've sort of accepted that anything less than that really at this moment in time. We have made a change in the management side of things, which was probably necessary at the time. And we can see things now hopefully moving in the right direction. I think if we could just buy a win from somewhere, that would be a fantastic start, wouldn't it? But we're just, we're drawing games. We're looking a lot more solid. We're looking a lot more efficient. We're looking to create more chances. If anybody was at FC United last week would see that. But ultimately, yes, we aren't where we wanted to be at the start of the season. But we've got to deal with the situation that we are in, and hopefully we can see that over the line and get ourselves out of trouble.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you mentioned, obviously with the change in management, it's obviously came with a big plus. We are looking a lot better on the field, and then now there's some good players come for the door, like Tyler Magloire has been a good player who we're kind of not sure if he's staying or going. But yeah, no, I think I agree with you. Kind of, we're not probably where we are, but the only way is up, as they say.
Absolutely. I mean, Billy's come in and he's sort of he's brought in one or two lads. Isaac Whitehall particularly, he looks a real player. Tyler's been superb. How long Tyler's around?
Yeah.
we know the situation with that. He probably should be playing higher than playing here, and that's no disrespect to the Northern Premier League in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Recruitment, as always, is not easy. Any manager, I think I've worked with 4 or 5 managers now, and they all tell us the same thing. Recruitment to a club that's so remotely isolated geographically is very, very difficult. It's not just a case of opening the checkbook and players come. It doesn't work like that. There's far more to it. The level we're playing at, the expectations of the footballer at this level nowadays is a lot higher. But there's also teams in leagues below that are paying probably similar to a lot of MPL teams as regards budget. So those players have got a lot more choice, and quite often that 2 hours up the motorway even to Penrith to train is a step too far. But we'll keep plugging away and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, yeah, we sort of, we can see improvements, and that I think everybody can see improvements. Just as a look at the reaction from the fans on social media and on the terraces, we are definitely, everybody can see improvements. So fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah, and especially you can see a lot on the terraces when I believe it's third highest average, just under Hendersford and Efcombe, unless it's dropped in the last.
For the league, we're the third highest in the league now. Obviously, FC United have traditionally really well supported.
Yeah.
Hednesford are a club that are really going places. I've got to admit that when we went down there, that was probably the best non-league experience I've come across. It is streets ahead of anything else I've been to, from right the way through. From the pitch obviously is a high profile thing, the squad they've assembled, and right the way through to the budget and the sort of the surroundings that they play in. So fair play to them. But yeah, it's great. We're third. We've I think the average is, I'm going to sound a bit sad here because I do actually know the number. It's 794 currently. Yeah. So we hope to build on that. We're probably thankful that it hasn't dropped off a little bit more than it potentially could have done. There is a lot of work gone in over the past 2 or 3 seasons to build the fan base and change the demographic a little bit around bringing in younger supporters and keeping them engaged. And then obviously with younger supporters come parents and people like that. So there's a lot of work gone in. It isn't a fluke or a pure coincidence that this has happened, and we have got a good fan base. I suppose kind of that's where our geographical location helps us, because there's not a lot else on elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's, if you were in Greater Manchester or the east side of Manchester, something like that, you've got 4 or 5 different clubs you could support. It's probably a different situation, but out here it's we are thankful and we are fortunate that we can sort of build on that fan base, and there's plenty of work still to do in that as well. That can improve further, but ultimately we are really, really thankful for where we are supporters wise. Yeah,
I definitely think the initiatives last season were good, especially with the younger years, and you can see now there's a little corner of younger supporters with the little
ultras.
The ultras,
great,
yes.
I spent quite a while watching some of these vloggers who travelled grounds.
The ground uppers,
and they go in the Scottish League, and there's all these ultras and these little kids banging drums, and I thought, if only we could do that at Borough Park. But that's kind of happened by accident. Nobody can claim any credit for that. It's just happened, and it's fantastic. So long may it continue, and just every time they come, if they bring a few extra with them, that's even better.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one especially. Well, we'll try and divert a bit, and we'll try to say, obviously, how long have you been here exactly? I don't know if we touched on that exactly.
I've been on the board since 2021, I think it was, or might have been 22 actually. 22, let's say 22. So that's coming up 4 years now. I've been a supporter for a lot longer than that. I think I was 9 or something when my dad first dragged me to Borough Park, and then I got quite involved with the supporters club side of things when I was a lot younger. But then when we started the business, Saturday was a day for work and going trying and making a few quid. So I stepped away from the football side. Then it moves on to you get married, you have kids. So then the kids are busy playing football on a Saturday. So then you sort of, that ties you up, and it's difficult to get back. But last sort of maybe 8 or 9 years, I've been a regular back on the terraces, and then obviously now involved. Yeah,
well, I was kind of the thing I was going to touch on was in your time of being here for roughly about 4 years-ish, 5. Do you have any tales you can tell that anyone maybe
Put us on the spot now. I thought we were supposed to be rehearsing this. Tales I can tell. I think one thing that we did do last year or the year before, we've got obviously the community mascot side of things, and we started taking them into the changing rooms and before the game, before the lads were getting changed, and they could ask questions, and some of the questions were some were quite predictable, and some were really sort of oddball, but I'm sure you can imagine some of the characters in the changing room that from the player's point of view, that some of the answers are also quite oddball. So yeah, that's always a highlight. Really enjoyed sort of having we talk about leaving Borough Park, the interest that's created in itself, and bringing people from all over the world, I suppose. We've had loads from Holland, we've had people from, I think, South Africa, somewhere like that. We've had loads of ground hoppers from England and just in Scotland, just getting them in and bringing them and showing them rooms like this and giving them a bit of a tour. That's kind of opened my eyes a little bit about a different side of non-league football that I didn't really understand I knew it was there, but I didn't realise how passionate these people were, and it's been really good to entertain them and show them round, and I think they are genuinely amazed by this place. We know why we have to leave here, but they are genuinely amazed, and I've thoroughly enjoyed doing that as well. Yeah.
Well, you obviously you see them around, and obviously then you see the videos afterwards and everything. But everyone seems to be a very big fan of this ground. Obviously, it is a shame we do have to leave, but
I don't think there's any doubt in that what we've got here is special. But from a point of view of sustainability and going forward,
of course,
and building the club, because that's what it's all about, building the ambition to drive the club on and further ourselves. I don't think there's any doubt that we need to unfortunately leave, but there is, like I say, it's a fantastic facility, oldie worldy ground. It's not a fantastic facility as regards fit for purpose as a modern day football stadium. It isn't, but it's you can see why people are attracted to it. You can see why people want to come before it disappears. And we've got to be thankful for that, I suppose, and we've got to remember the history and what's gone before us, probably in this very room, like I say, we're talking about what might have happened in here before. Some of the famous players that have graced the turf, some of the famous managers that we've had, players we've had. I think we've got to understand that must remain, and we've got to try and preserve as much of that as we possibly can, but the actual structure of Borough Park will have to completely change. So,
kind of want to touch on, like, we were talking about matches before and kind of your history with Reds, and obviously before you got on the board and you passed with them, but kind of what's your favourite stadium you've been to in like the past? By Hendersford, obviously, as you mentioned before.
Hendersford was really impressive this year. I've already touched on that. Favourite stadiums, away stadiums. I used to like the old Morecambe Stadium, Christie Park, before that disappeared. Again, another one that's had a nice new modern facility. Some of the more traditional sort of smaller stadiums, Mossley's quite good. I don't mind Kendal. I think Kendal's got a nice feel to it. I know it's not the greatest facility in the world, but it's got a really nice feel to it, and there's a bit of a buzz going around there at the moment as well. So that's good for them. Those are probably me. I wouldn't say they're standouts, but they're the ones that stick in the mind. I quite enjoy a visit there.
We'll go, obviously, since we talk about the history of even away days, we'll kind of go, is there more history before Reds, maybe anything you've done in the past?
Personally, football-wise, I was never a player. I'll be 100% honest with you there. I was never a player. I got involved with the management side of football when my kids started playing. Me eldest son played for Vice Chairman Minors, and he went there when he was 6 years old with all his mates from school. And you get sucked in, don't you? That parent who's coaching them says, "Oh, we've nobody to coach the team next year unless you're going to step up and have a go." So you get roped in. They sell you some tale about it being an hour a week for training and an hour a week for matches, and that's absolutely a load of rubbish, and it ends up taking over your life. So we, right the way through from Elliot being 6 to 16, I coached his team with not a great deal of success, but that's I'm certainly no coach either, by the way. And then after he stopped playing and stepped away, my younger son was still playing, but I wasn't coaching him, so I got involved in the committee side of the club. Ended up being chairman there for a couple of years. So that gave me a good grounding on grassroots sport and how the league works locally. And obviously now I'm still the youth league chairman for the West Cumbria Youth League, so biggest league in Cumbria. So
yeah. I mean, that kind of brings me on to kind of the academy. Obviously, there's a lot of currently at the moment with some absentees. We've had to have a lot of the youth players in at the moment. Is there any kind of you're excited to see come into the first team in the next couple of years, maybe?
I think where we are now, we've got 3 or 4 that are sort of capable of stepping up where needed. It's a huge step between under 23s. I would have said last year under 18s football to be an NPL first team. Now we've got the 23s as well. From under 23 football to the NPL standard is still a huge step. 1 or 2 of them might make that step, but ultimately, if you get 1 or 2 every year, I think the academy or the Reds in the community side of things is serving its purpose. It's given kids in West Cumbria the opportunity to play from 12 in competitive fixtures across the northwest, boys and girls, giving them the opportunity to try different facilities, play against a slightly higher standard of opposition than they're probably used to, playing in the grassroots locally. And that's no disrespect to the West Cumbria Youth League, by the way, because there's still some good stuff goes on in there and some superb teams and some superb coaches. But some players need that little challenge, and that's what Reds in the community aims to deliver. It isn't always a popular move, I'll be 100% honest. There's this sort of there is a slight conflict sometimes between grassroots clubs and the JPL sides. But unfortunately it's a necessary evil in my opinion, and that's with both hats on. That's with my youth league hat on and my Reds hat. But ultimately if we want to bring players through to playing the standard that we need to play in now, those kids need to be given the best opportunity from that age, and they need to be they've got to get used to the travelling as well, because quite often if you've played locally till you're 18, all of a sudden you're asked to get on a bus every other week and trail to Ilkeston or Gainsborough or somewhere like that. That's a culture shock, and you need to be aligned with that process if you've got the ambition to play for this club at the highest level possible.
Yeah, well, you've kind of said there about Reds in the community. I'm maybe not as knowledgeable on Reds in the community. Is there any more you could kind of explain about it, like purpose or what goes on kind of?
Yeah, so it's something that the club set up before my time with Brian Dawson. So we all know Brian from his time sort of back with the club recently. But in the background, he's been in charge of Reds in the community probably going on 10 years now, and that's basically now. It provides those children, as we've just said, with the opportunity to travel to Premier League academies and places like that at 8-9 years old and play, and then they grow through our system, and they play right the way through to under 18s, but from 12s upwards it's competitive football. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is the community work that it delivers locally. So they do a lot of work in schools. They do PE provision in schools. They do. They're looking now to expand. We've got the soccer hub down on Derwent Howe, obviously, which has been a really popular thing. We do work with separate community groups. We've provided football provision for Moor Close Community Centre in the past. We've obviously done the walking football, which is coming up now. We've also got disability football, which has been established 2 or 3 years, all under the Reds umbrella and all using the same brand and wearing the badge, I suppose.
Oh, well, it's good to hear a bit more about it, as obviously maybe some people, including myself, don't know
there's
about
there's
it.
loads more to it than just 3 o'clock on a Saturday out there. Running a football club these days is a real it's a community effort. The football club's got they're at the centre of the community, but they've got to be seen to putting something back. They can't just take these days. Those days have gone. It's all about provision for the wider community, and obviously the pinnacle of it is the first team on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah,
indeed. So I'm maybe this is a question you can't answer as such, but obviously during kind of the process of hiring a new manager, obviously this season we had it, do you have much kind of what kind of goes into, you know, getting the manager, getting your shortlist, and then appointing said manager?
So there's 2 or 3 different ways clubs at any level will go about. So it's obviously you'd invite applications if that was the way what you chose to go, and that you're basically then offering it out to anybody or saying, look, who's interested. We could work from a shortlist, which is something that we've prepared in-house. We do a bit of work in the background, not only on potential manager, but on potential players as well. Right. So there's a lot of work going on in the background that people definitely won't see, which shows that we're keeping tabs on what's going on around about us.
Yeah.
So that in itself is a time-consuming operation, but we do that, and we try and keep that up to date as possible. So that's obviously a part of it. There might be names on there that we like the look of or are out to work, and we think, you know, let's try and talk to them. And the same applies with applications. The same as going to try and sign a player, that they've got to want the job. They've got to want to commit to the travelling if that's the case, and they've also got to sort of tick the boxes from our point of view as well. So it's far more than just sort of saying, oh, we'll have him, because it doesn't work like that. Sometimes in the past, I can remember we've had we've thrown it open to applications and maybe not got that as many applications we probably expected or hoped for. So then that narrows your choice down. But it's usually a mixture of that, and then obviously if there's a particular person you want to approach and they are interested in the job, then I suppose they start at the top of the list and you work your way down until you find somebody. But a little bit of both, a little bit of everything in all three recent cases of appointing managers anyway. So
yeah. So was this time kind of like a rigorous process? It was kind of maybe some fans were in kind of
it was probably impatient. I won't say it was too rigorous, because you can never be too rigorous, but it took a little bit longer than we perhaps wanted, because we sort of, you're mid-season, you want somebody to come in and make an instant impact, but at the same time the process it takes time. By the time you put a document together which invites in applications, for instance, you then get your applications, you go through them, you shortlist them, you talk to them, and then that's a first interview, I suppose. And then you've got to then factor in the fact that if you're going to look for somebody in particular, then you've got to make contact. Sometimes that isn't easy. Just you know, you've got to find that information. You've got to go and get the person you want to speak to, and then you've got to whittle your shortlist down, and then you have a second interview, and then you probably go to a third interview, which is your point where you're offering somebody the job. So unless you've got a specific person in mind, and in no point when I've appointed or been involved in appointing a manager have we sort of said it's got to be X or Y or Z. It's a process of just getting to the point where you're in a position that both parties are happy, so the club can be happy and the person coming in can be happy as well.
Yeah, indeed. I remember just with during the process of hiring Billy Barr, there was a little bit of impatience with it, so I just thought I'd ask the question.
You're right, and to be fair, we saw that as well, but we were knowing it's kind of different for us because we know what's going on. Where sometimes people on the outside can see what they can see, that's fine, but they don't know the ins and outs of it, and it's a delicate process. You can't give too much information away, and at the same time, getting the right man takes time. It would have been nice to flick a switch and bring somebody in the next day and job's done, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, of course not. But this is going to bring me on to another question. You can choose not to answer, of course. But obviously, we have a lot of social media presence, and obviously sometimes you get the comments of, sack the board and everything, and whatever else kind of how
Please sack the board.
kind of how do you deal with all that? Is it just a choice of ignoring it, kind of thing, just thinking,
it would be rude of us to ignore it. So I don't think it's right to ignore it. We don't hide away from social media. We don't always post what we think on social media.
Yeah, of course.
Doing things as well. Listen, to be fair, we've had a pretty easy ride up until this season because we've been in reasonable credit, I would have said. We've had a promotion, we've had a couple of sort of a season and a bit of consolidation. Yet back end of last season took a bit of getting over that rise for safety, but we didn't get a great deal of stick. This season, the heat was turned up a little bit, but at the end of the day, social media is exactly what it is. It can be fantastic for clubs like this, doing things like what we're doing now.
Course, yeah.
And it can be an absolute nightmare from our point of view. If you started taking it personally, then ultimately we're probably in the wrong job.
Yeah, of course.
And you sort of turn around and say, I'm sorry, but it's not for me. Nobody on this board or nobody within this club ever, to my knowledge, does anything that they don't think is in the right interest of the club. Now that doesn't necessarily agree with what everybody else thinks, but ultimately we have to make the decisions, and we're running a business here as well. We're not just running a football team. It's a business. It's got to pay the way. It's got to be right. And we listen. People are entitled to their opinions, and it's very, very easy to voice it on social media. Personally, I don't have a problem. If I'll be the first to put my hand up. If I think I've got something wrong, I'll tell you. Yeah. So you probably don't need 50 people on a Saturday at 4:45 telling me that. But ultimately, we are where we are, and that's the way it is. We'll ride it out, and we'll keep acting as best we can in sort of getting the club right.
Another question I might ask yet again, it's back to the performances on the field, because obviously that's in my interest and probably a lot of other interests is kind of how you feel the performances on the field are going. This year we kind of are not having as good as home form as we've had in the last couple of years. Only, I believe, 1 win at home this season so far, 2 wins away, obviously at Bamber Bridge, and then.
I wasn't here for the game we actually won. Maybe
was it?
I think it's my fault. I think I'll just stay away. Joking aside, you like to sort of stay at the start of the season, or we want to make Borough Park a fortress, or wherever we're going to play a fortress. Every club says it and every club thinks it, but it doesn't always happen, does it? Yeah. If I could put my hand on why that's the case, I honestly, I'd be the first to tell the manager, but. It's a strange one, isn't it? You'd expect to pick up points at home and struggle away, but I genuinely don't know. I've got to say, we aren't football experts, by the way, in the board.
Yeah, of course not.
We're just fans. Ultimately, we are just fans. We're the same as everybody else who pays the money every Saturday afternoon. We think we know about football, whether we do or not. Probably not as much as a lot of people who do pay the money out there. Yeah. So, but from that point of view, it'd be lovely to say, let's go right the way through till the end of the season at home unbeaten.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Can we see that happening? It's a difficult one on Saturday with Hebburn, isn't it? So
yeah, how we've looked so far, it kind of brings a bit of hope that we could maybe sneak a result. Like I said, you've said before, hard league, tight league. There's only 9 points. Is it maybe changed overnight 10 now from getting out, and then between now it's.
When we're filming this, I think it's 8 points from safety.
8, right.
So if you can string a couple of wins together,
exactly.
I think consistency in this league is massive. If you can consistently pick up, win 2 out of 3 every win 2 out of every 3, you are going to fly up that league. But if the same thing, if you then lose 2 out of 3, you're going to drop right back down it again because everybody else starts to pick up points. It's going to be a challenge, but like I say, I think the key to this league is being even in the slightest consistent. Yeah. I think if they shorten games to 85 minutes, we'd probably be out of the league anyway.
We'd probably be fighting for playoffs. Yeah. But the unfortunate thing is obviously the time we're having in the league at the moment, and then kind of outside the league is I think there's about 10 points between 15th and 6th. Even, like you say, a bit of consistency and it gets you flying up the league. Obviously, we've had an unbeaten start to the...
Yeah, unbeaten in 26,
Unbeaten in 26. Might have been 3 draws, but still, you can...
Being 100% honest here, I know could have is no good, but it could have been 3 wins as well.
Easily
just
could have,
a little bit of luck at times. That's how fine the margins are, I suppose.
It feels like someone has it out for us, especially the last minute goal at FCOM.
When you're down there, your luck's against you all the time, isn't it? And you automatically think everybody's against you. But it's,
So, Richard, obviously, you've been a Reds fan for quite a while and a board member for 4 years. over your time being a fan, who's kind of the best manager you've worked with in a way?
Well, I've only directly worked with the managers while I've been on the board. I'm not going to sort of put my hand up and say it was a certain person, but all I will say is, having worked with several managers, they are all very, very different. Very different in their approach to how they do everything around the club. Recruitment, how they manage players, how they work with backroom staff, how they work with the board, because ultimately that's got to be a good relationship.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm not saying we've ever had a bad working relationship, but they're all very, very different relationships. Some people are better at communication than others, and it really has surprised me how different they are, even though they all have the same end goal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So ultimately they want to bring success on the pitch, but they all have a different way of going about it, different coaching styles, stuff like that. But it's opened my eyes a bit. But some great people, by the way.
Has any of them had, I know this is going to sound like a very bizarre question, has any of them had kind of any strange match day rituals like some people have?
Not that I'm aware of, no, not as regards what goes on in the manager's office stays in the manager's office, by the way, so I couldn't tell you what goes on in there, but no strange pre-match rituals that I'm aware of, no voodoo dolls or no lucky underpants that I'm aware of.
All right. Well, since we're talking about managers, we'll kind of go on to more of the playing side. Is there any kind of characters you've had in the dressing room that you'd know of or you've seen over the last, obviously the years of being a Reds fan, board member, when you've had more of a kind of like an insider to it?
Where I've had more contact with the players.
Yeah.
Obviously more recently, there's some fairly big characters in the changing rooms. That was a bit of a wild card. You never know what's coming out of his mouth next. So obviously you probably expected that as an answer.
Yeah, of course.
I really enjoyed working with Effie Ambrose. I think he was a bit hit and miss sometimes with the performances, but you couldn't fault the guy's commitment. And he was an absolute top bloke to have around the club, and it was a real pleasure to work with him. A player who's been there and done it all pretty much. And then when I'm tightening his wheel nuts on his car in the car park because his wheels nearly fell off on the M74, that's a story for a different day probably. But yeah, he was a real nice guy to have around the place. Yeah,
definitely a fan favourite as well. Obviously got a lovely flag that only lasted us half a season.
It was always a gamble that with his age, wasn't it? Getting a flag for him.
Yeah.
So, but he was a lovely bloke and wish him nothing but the best. Yeah.
Yeah. What else could we maybe touch on with players? I mean, obviously you've seen a lot as well. Let's go on to maybe ones you've seen in the past while you've been a Reds. Who's kind of your favourite player you've watched?
My sort of earlier memories of players were the likes of John Smith, who's scored a lot of goals back in the early 80s. I really got on well with Billy Gilmore, and Billy's he's a customer of mine now. He's been a customer for years. Unfortunately, he's not in the best of health, just quite at the moment. But so best wishes to Billy. But he's I really admired the way he played and the way he put himself about and the way he carried himself. And then I suppose the likes of we've had Paul Stewart through the club. So quality wise, you couldn't fault that. Grant Holt. The big names that stick in the memory. But we've had our fair share of players over the years, haven't we? We fair get through them. But there's some real good quality players there.
Yeah. Then so obviously you've had been a Reds fan, obviously being alive a lot longer than me. So you've seen some of the good players that have come through the door here, which is, you know what, I'm envious of some of the players you've got to watch.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a blast, to be honest. Watching the Reds it's never an easy watch.
Yeah.
Or very rarely an easy watch, but I wouldn't have changed anything. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Well, hopefully, just to butt in, sorry, but the people we're bringing through the door now will be able to provide that for years going forward as well, and they'll be able to experience those memories of 50 years ago, or in certain supporters' cases 90 years ago, and games like the Man United game and things like that. There'll be plenty of more memories to be made, and that's part of what my job's all about, is maintaining that legacy for years to come.
Well, kind of touching on to as you mentioned, the fans there, obviously they get to see great players play. Is there any kind of what we did last year, like March to Borough Park? Is there any initiatives coming up maybe for fans?
I think as we wind down towards the end of this season, I think we've eight or 9 home games left now. It's going to be more like a countdown to sort of to shutting the front door for the final time. Every game is going to be memorable. Let's hope there's a lot of wins among them as we go, and we can go out in some kind of style. But the sort of, rather than having a specific get yourself there this week type of project, we're sort of more about let's enjoy the time we've got left here.
Right. Okay.
Fill the place as best we can. Make a bit of noise. Get behind the team, and let's see where that takes us.
Well, I think that's a good way to end the podcast today. Thank you for joining us on the first episode of the Popular Side podcast. Hopefully, many more episodes to come.
It's been my pleasure. Honestly, I think this would be a fantastic resource going forward for the club. So, thank you very much for your help.
Thank you for joining me.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks.